Hey, welcome to Between the Ears Baseball Podcast. I'm your host, Curtis Pelche, mental performance coach. Here we're bringing on coaches, players, scouts, baseball people to talk baseball. Their views and experience in recruiting, player development, and mental performance. If you're playing pro ball, college, high school, or just a parent trying to manage the matrix of travel ball, this podcast is for you. Here we go. Episode 11, Coach Gary Van Tol. Coach Van Tol has over 30 years of coaching experience. He's worked for the Chicago Cubs in player development, 20 years at the college level, working at Boise State University, Gonzaga, University of Portland, Treasure Valley, and Centralia. Coach Van Tol currently is the head coach of the Boise Hawks in the Northwest League. Excited for you guys to hear this one. Coach Van Tol was a huge part of some programs that I built, and is a good old Canadian boy. So here you go, Coach Van Tol. Here we go. Thanks, Coach. Appreciate you coming on, buddy.
No, you bet. Thanks for having me.
So you are in Ogden right now. What's going on? How'd it go yesterday?
We didn't fare too well.
Mm-hmm.
We won the first two games of the series, so dropped last night's game. 3 more left, so the goal is to win every 2 out of 3, and doesn't matter which 2. So we won the first 3-game series, and to do that on the road is a good thing, and we'll see what happens tonight. But we're in the hunt for a playoff spot, so we've got these 3 games left in Ogden, and then we'll go back home. And we got a big home stand with Missoula coming in for 6. They are currently in the driver's seat in first place. And then we've got Glacier coming in to finish out the first half, and we are tied right now with Glacier for that second seed. The top 2 teams in the first half qualify for the playoffs. So, we control our own destiny, and we've got an opportunity and another chance to go out there tonight and see what happens.
So are you wheeling and dealing all season with players coming in and players, getting opportunities to go, play on other teams? And is that something that's key for you? Obviously keeping a roster together that you like. Is that challenging in your league?
Big time. It's probably one of the most challenging responsibilities that I have is to keep the roster intact. And, it's a blast. You just have to stay on top of things. And, the Pioneer League right now is one of 4 partnered leagues with MLB, and MLB wants the Pioneer League to be the youngest of the 4, which makes sense. So most of the players, that I'm signing are guys that are out of the college ranks. Their eligibility for the most part is over. With only 20 rounds in the draft, they haven't been drafted, and they want to extend their career. They want to keep grinding and hopefully open up an opportunity to get signed, out of this league. So
what's that looking like? Like, how many guys are getting signed out of the league?
There's guys getting signed out of the league. I think every couple of weeks it seems like somebody's getting an opportunity. This is my 4th year with the Boise Hawks as an independent in the Pioneer League, and we've had 11 players sign contracts with major league organizations to get an opportunity to join a major league organization, which has been great. So that's the goal, is to give guys at least a bridge to keep grinding, to see if an opportunity will open up. And then the way the partner leagues are set up, if our guys don't get an opportunity to sign with a major league organization, I can help them find opportunities to move up the ladder in the partnered leagues, in some older leagues like the American Association or the Atlantic League. And so I think Major League Baseball's plan with the partner leagues is, if an organization has a need at the A level, low A or advanced A, like the Vancouver Canadians, the organizations will go into the Pioneer League and find somebody that profiles to that level. And the American Association, double A, triple A type guys, the Atlantic League, some guys with big league time in triple A. So, it makes sense from that standpoint. And to sign somebody out of one of our leagues is pretty cheap, considering the signing bonuses that some guys are getting now, and free agent opportunities. But the landscape has changed, as you know, so much in the last 4 years. I think there's going to be more changes coming down the pike as well.
Mm-hmm.
And there's just less and less opportunities for guys to
Yeah.
get drafted now and sign with a major league organization. And the independent teams who are running their own business and paying their own players, doesn't cost major league organizations anything now. They just kind of watch guys who are competing in one of these four leagues. And if yeah, they they want to sign somebody, they can come in right away. And I'm going to do everything I can to help my guys get those opportunities, even though it will fill a huge hole for me. There's
Mm-hmm.
so many guys looking for jobs. I've
Yeah.
got a short list each week of pitchers, position players, guys that are hungry, that are free agents, that if we lose a guy to a major league organization, it's just a matter of a couple days before I can get somebody in to help fill that hole.
How many emails you get in a week from players?
Yeah, a lot, especially now that the college season's ended.
Yeah.
This is the next wave of free agents that are scrambling trying to find jobs. And then after the draft, that'll be the next wave, because you got a handful of guys that are kind of holding on till the draft and they're just training and staying in shape. They'll be looking for jobs if they don't get selected. So there's plenty of good players out there now with only 20 rounds in
Yeah.
the draft to sign.
Well, I know some of these seniors, they're just starting to feel it. It's they're just getting their legs underneath them after 4 years of school, and they're just starting to grow into their man body. And if some of these guys have the mental fortitude and toughness to keep grinding, there is a path. They're absolutely like I just messaged you a little while ago about Thomas Green, the kid from Purdue. Unfortunately, he's Canadian and battles the visa, but got a chance. He's doing well up in Trois Rivières, and
Awesome.
like he said, he's like, man, for me to just this is my senior year, I'm done. With COVID, all these guys are 6-year collegiate players now. But he, like he said, he's like, I'm just starting to get my feel. I'm really just starting to get that confidence going. And what would you, this podcast kind of geared towards high school players, collegiate players, parents, and anybody listening trying to get an opportunity somewhere. When you receive an email, Gary, what are you looking for, and how do you vet that player? Obviously, your inbox is full, and you can't do as much research, I'm sure, as you'd like on everybody. What are the key things that stand out to you that maybe a message to see high or college seniors for next year be like, this is what we need to see in an email?
Well, most of the guys that I'm looking at have a body of work, so I can look at
Yeah.
their numbers and their stats and
Mm-hmm.
where they played at the college level. And I've been blessed to be in this for 30 plus years now, so I can usually get on the phone and call somebody to do some cross checking very quickly to just confirm, the skill set, and of course that sixth tool, their character,
Mm-hmm.
and how they're wired, and how much they compete, because yeah, we're trying to develop guys at this level, but I'm also trying to manage each night to win a ball game
Sure.
and win a championship. And so that's a little bit different than when I was in the Cubs organization and player development. Winning wasn't that big of a priority in the minor leagues. It was developing each of our players to help them reach their full potential and prepare them for the next level and move them up the ladder. And so, with technology now and video and metrics and all the,
Oh yeah.
formulas and algorithms, I pay attention to that. But at the end of the day, I mean, there's a lot of guys out there throwing 95, but I need guys who can get hitters out.
Totally.
And so that's a big piece, right? Because you have a lot of players that are in these labs that are putting up crazy metrics. Yeah, that's part of it. But at the end of the day, you know, when these guys are out there and the lights are on, and you've got people yelling at you and you're trying to win a ball game, you can throw all the lab information out the window. And so, that's a big one for me, is when I'm talking to these kids, the first question I ask them is, hey, do you want to keep grinding? And do you know what that entails? And if they can convince me that, yes, I want to keep grinding, my bag's packed, I'm in shape, I'm ready to go, I'm looking for an opportunity to come in and help you win a championship. Boy, that's a big question to answer. And then once I get that answered, then it's, do we have the fit? Do we have the need right now? Because timing is going to be really the next most important thing. And then how quickly can you get to Boise, Idaho? Because I don't have the luxury anymore of calling the front office and
Okay.
getting
Yeah.
3 players flown in the next day to Boise who are all in the system. They know the language, they know the signs. It's a pretty seamless transition. But now I'm trying to find a guy wherever he can, and how quickly can he get to Boise, and what's that look like, and then is he available to compete when I need him to be available. And so you got to have a little bit of luck. And we were in a situation just this last week where we lost one of our relievers in the bullpen. We were on the road and we were coming back home, and I reached back out to this pitcher who I had talked to previously, and I knew he was at the time still a free agent and ready to roll. And I said, hey, it could happen fast. I don't have a need right now, but I'll get to you if something pops up. I had done my cross checking, all the boxes checked, and it was just a matter of timing. And sure enough, we had a guy go down. We're on the bus ride back home to Boise. I call him Sunday night. I said, can you book a flight Monday? He looked at flights, booked a flight Monday, got in Monday night from Austin, Texas.
Cool.
And we had him take his physical with our team docs in Boise. He passed his physical. We put him on a bus to Ogden, Utah, and he got here yesterday to throw a light bullpen, and he's waiting to be activated this weekend and ready to compete. So that's that's another big box to check. Is how quick can we get you here to help
Well, I
us?
think that says something about the player too. The kind of the give a shit meter. It's like, okay, I want this. I'm coming. I'm finding my way there. I'll hitchhike. I'll do whatever it takes to get there.
That's huge. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
and you've got some other guys that coming out of the college season. Yeah, they've been hot since February. Their
Mhm.
their gas tank might be half full. So that's
Mhm.
another important piece, because regardless of what they did in college, this is a whole different animal.
Yeah.
And we're playing a 96 game schedule in 105 days, and with a 26-man roster, 13 pitchers, 13 position players with no farm system. That is really the biggest challenge for me on a daily basis, is keeping our roster intact, as healthy as possible. My trainer and his staff and our docs in Boise are phenomenal, and they're doing everything that they can, all hands on deck, to give our guys every opportunity to get their treatment, to get everything that they need to help them, stay on the field. And I've got to make sure that I'm giving our main guys a rest and some recovery time, and taking advantage of that Monday off day. That is usually our travel day and recovery day, which is pretty much standard now across the board at the minor league level. And just, our first road trip in Billings, we opened up at home. We go to Billings, and my number one pitcher breaks his jaw in a freak deal and normal catch play before the game. He just took one off his glove that hit his cheek, and we didn't think it was too serious. And sure enough, got him X-rays, broken jaw, flying back to Boise the next day. He's got surgery, and then 2 days later, our starting shortstop takes a ball to the hand when he was hitting, and broke a bone in his hand. So, right after our second series, first one on the road, we lose our number one and our starting shortstop. And so we've been dealing with that as well. And some guys have had to step up. And for the most part, we've been able to hold serve and stay in the hunt. And those two positions are key. And we're hoping to have both of those guys back here maybe in a week and a half for our last series against Glacier. That's going to maybe determine who gets that second playoff spot.
It's a grind. You're in a grind, man.
Yeah, yeah,
This
it's
is,
crazy. Jim Riggleman, former big
yeah.
league manager, been in the game a long time. He was managing in Billings a couple years ago, and getting the opportunity to visit with him and just pick his brain. And he looked at me, after a couple months into the season, and he said, "This is the toughest gig I've ever had." And this is a former big league manager. And
Yeah.
so, Troy Percival's in the league now, who, was a
Okay.
major league closer, great career. Actually started his professional career in Boise, Idaho,
Okay.
when the Angels signed him as a catcher. And then
Mm-hmm.
it was in Boise after his first year. He came back and they converted him into a pitcher, and the rest is history. But this is his first stint in the league. He's managing Idaho Falls, and we just played them last week. And yeah, it's an adventure.
He
And
was he was still coaching some college ball down in California, wasn't he?
yeah, he was at UC Riverside, his alma
That's right.
mater.
That's right.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
was the
Yeah.
head
Yeah.
coach
That's right.
there for I don't know how many years, but I know he's trying to get into professional baseball. He'd love to be a pitching coach with an organization, and I know there's a lot of cutbacks with each major league organization, not only player wise, but even staff wise. But this guy's got tremendous knowledge, and obviously he's
It's
been there, done that. And
It's Troy Percival.
yeah,
It's wild. You look at the road. Even a guy like Troy has to go through to get somewhere where he wants to go coach wise. It's a grind every ounce of baseball. So I wanted to ask, what do you see as the big difference between guys who are playing, an independent ball versus affiliated ball right now? What's that one factor that's going to, keep them in independent ball rather than, signing a free agent contract?
well, I think again with major league organizations, it's just that.
Oh,
Oh,
damn it.
hang on a sec. Do you still
Lost you.
have me? Oh, I'm back. Do you got me?
Yep, yep,
Oh,
yeah, you're good. You're good. I
yeah.
can edit this.
I think the biggest thing too right now is the needs at the major league level and within each organization. There's got to be an opportunity because you've got major league organizations that go through the entire draft, the scouting department doing their due diligence to, you know, rank their guys on their board come draft day, and the investment that major league organizations are putting into their minor league players, which is costing the major league organizations more than ever. That's why there's cuts
Mm-hmm.
in minor league systems in terms of the amount. I think each major league organization can only carry 165 players now. And when I was with the Cubs, I mean, we were having 250 plus at spring training.
Mm-hmm.
So, that's just eliminated the opportunities, but it gives these guys a bridge to at least continue to play. And one of our players that was with us, he just got called up to AAA with the Red Sox, and it can happen. And you look at all these stories previously of guys making it to the big leagues who were drafted in the 25th to 30th round. Piazza, obviously one of the maybe more famous guys who was drafted in the 40th round and
Mm-hmm.
made it up in the career that he had, in the Dodgers organization. But it just, you know, you just got to keep grinding. And I look at my roster right now, and when people ask me, "Hey, what's the difference when you managed the Boise Hawks when we were an affiliate in the Cubs organization?" And I said, my roster is very similar when I looked at it in August, because most of my prospects had already been moved up. Kyle Schwarber, Chris Bryant, Ian Happ. Their stay was short in Boise or Eugene, and they moved up the ladder and took that next step. So when you get to the dog days of August, and I'm looking out at my roster and I'm seeing my 28th rounder in center field, my 32nd rounder at second base, my senior sign in the bullpen or behind the dish, we might have that eighth round high school pick from the year prior that's still cutting his teeth, and he's going to spend a full season in Boise. But he's young, he's raw, and that's kind of like my roster is right now. Because a lot of these guys that I have currently signed in a 40 round draft probably
Yeah,
would have been picked up, and I have
gotcha.
a handful of guys that they were with organizations and had been released and still had eligibility to play in the Pioneer League because In the Pioneer League, I can't sign anybody who's played more than 3 years of professional baseball.
Okay.
So Micah Yonamini, I have on our roster. He's our starting first baseman. He's out of Hawaii and was drafted by the Phillies out of high school, was in the Phillies organization for a couple years. For a high school player, really didn't get the runway to develop
Yeah.
like back in the day when
Yeah.
you were going to give a high school player, you signed 5 years in the system to develop. And he was released because of the cuts. He was signed by a team in the Frontier League last year. We got him in a trade. He's 23 years old, and this is his last year of eligibility in the Pioneer League as a 23-year-old because he signed out of high school. But
Mm.
those are the types of players that really profile to the Pioneer League right now, and those are the guys that I'm looking for. But more than anything, I'm trying to find that guy that is coming out of college last year or now this year that didn't get drafted, didn't get an opportunity, and he is still hungry to do everything he can to put himself in that position. And I want to help him do so, but he also needs to perform and be able to show me he can compete at this level and put up some numbers because, again, I'm trying to put the most competitive product on the field for our organization so we can generate interest and sell tickets and be affordable family entertainment so we can try and run a profit business wise just like every other business and organization. And along with that, my responsibility is to win ball games and to put ourselves in position to win a championship. And so the development piece is still there, but the conversations I'm having with these guys, and they know, hey, they still need to show up and produce, but I'm going to give them, some leash because this is a tough game.
Yeah.
And you go into a series and you could have a good 6-game series and turn around that next 6-game series, you struggle. And so it's just ride now. We've got a great group. We got,
You missing the college game?
um, I tell you what, that's a whole nother animal right now, you know?
Oh, man, I've had a lot of college coaches on recently, and I mean, this whole portal deal is something crazy going on
Yeah.
right now.
I got, again, being blessed to be in this business um, for over 30 years now at every level. Um, what's going on at the college level is really out of control,
Yeah.
but we've all kind of created this monster, right? And you have to adapt to
Yep.
survive. And
Yep.
so for me, even being in the fourth quarter of my career, I'm
Mm.
still having a blast.
Yeah.
I still wake up every day and I pinch myself to be in this game and working with young players and helping them through their journey. And baseball and life are very comparable with the ups and downs and the good and bad. And so, but at the college level now, I mean, rosters are flipping yearly.
Hmm.
Guys are coming in and you're developing them, and bam, they leave for a bigger opportunity and more money. So there's definitely got to be some adjustments moving forward at every level, and not only in baseball, but you look at what's going on in basketball and football, and it's big
Yeah.
business.
It's
And
huge.
and I'm all for these student athletes to get a piece of the pie, and
Yeah.
they were on the outside looking in, and they were the ones that were putting in the effort. And there's a lot of money out there, but for me right now, I think I'm at the level where this is about as pure as the game is right now anywhere in how I grew up playing it.
Yeah.
you
Okay.
know? And
Hmm.
so I'm not dealing with NIL deals. I have a salary cap. We offer a competitive salary in our league. We're not, the highest. We're not the lowest. We're in the middle, but we have an unbelievable market. We've got tremendous fan support. Yeah, we play in an old stadium. That's why Boise lost their affiliation with all the cuts. And I know our ownership is still motivated to build a new stadium in Boise. And I believe if it's done right, Major League Baseball, because they control all the minor league systems right now, will put a minor league franchise back in Boise because we've got all the bells and whistles, brand new stadium, and I think AAA is that next step in our market.
Get that
But
stadium up, you might get the athletics there.
yeah, for sure, and there's a lot of potential, but I tell you what, going back to the college level, it's definitely not the same. And talking with a lot of my fellow colleagues at that level, boy, there's a lot of uncertainty. And yeah, I don't know, to be honest, if
Yeah.
I had that opportunity to go back, that I would, because
When
again,
you were there, Gonzaga, Centralia, Treasure Valley, Portland, right? You're at
hmm
Portland,
yeah, and
and
Boise
and
State,
then
the last
and then
one.
Boise State. When you were on the recruiting trail, and obviously you played collegiate baseball, Alberta boy, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Canadian. A little bit of advice, again, this podcast, it's I got a lot of high school players, a lot of parents listening to it, and we're trying to, when I have conversation with kids now, I want realistic expectations.
Mm-hmm.
And I ask, okay, what's your goal? And the answer is usually Vandy. I want to go to Vanderbilt.
Sure.
It's like, okay, yeah, sure. Of course you do. Everybody does. But, I don't think you know what that means.
Mm-hmm.
So realistic goal being, okay, maybe I need to go play in the NWAC, then I need to transfer, then I need to go this way, then I need to go that way. What, as somebody who's been on, obviously done a lot of recruiting, you helped me, you held my hand through me building my college program. It was amazing. It was all the help you gave me. What would you be, what advice would you lend to parents and high school players right now in high school, trying to get recruited? What are
Right.
you looking for as a college coach, as a recruiter?
Well, when somebody asks me who doesn't know the game of baseball what I do for a living, I say I do two things, and it's 24 hours a day. I seek the truth, and I predict the future. So when I'm talking to parents and young players, the first thing that I ask them is what's your dream? What are your goals? What are your aspirations? And obviously, growing up in Canada in a small town, Pincher Creek, Alberta, my dream was to play in the NHL. I was fortunate enough to grow up with a, a handful of friends in a small town that played hockey and played baseball, and we were very competitive. Some years you grow up in a small town and you don't have the numbers of your buddies who do that. And so I look at that, and I tip my hat to all my friends growing up because they pushed me, they made me better. Some guys went the hockey route, played in the NHL. Some guys went the baseball route. A number of them played for Team Canada and were drafted. And so, my dream was, to get to the NHL or Major League Baseball. And I left Canada to pursue a baseball career in the U.S. in 1986. Where there was no video, and basically it was a recommendation and a call by a scout, an old bird dog with the Royals,
Mhm.
Norm King out of Calgary, Alberta, who believed in me, and he got on the phone and made some phone calls. So when I'm talking to parents and young kids, especially now with the money, I wouldn't have been able to do this when I grew up because we all went to the playground and opened up the gate that wasn't locked, and we played and we
Yeah,
got better. And there was
yeah,
one game a week. I'm
yeah,
aging myself here, but that Saturday night game, we watched it, and then we all went out, got everybody in town, and we went and played. And nobody was charging money to do that. And we had some parents who volunteered that were tremendous role models and influences. But it's no different, right? It's so crazy now. I see all these people chasing the dream, but they're not willing to stop and get properly evaluated and seek the truth with
mhm,
people who are not asking you to write a check.
yeah,
And if you're going to seek the truth, you also need to be able to handle the truth. So for me, I was looking at all the opportunities that I had and what was going to be that next best opportunity for me to allow me to continue to develop, get better, compete, and be around people that were going to push me to make me better to keep that dream alive. Right. And so, yeah, sometimes that opportunity to go to Vanderbilt might be there. Sometimes it might not be, and it might be just go to Douglas to get an opportunity to keep playing and keep developing at the junior college level, and maybe go to stay at home in UBC. Like, there were no opportunities for me in Canada. I had to go to the States.
Yeah.
But if there was an opportunity for me to stay at home, that might have been the best opportunity for me to just continue to get better. But when everybody's making you promises and guarantees, that's a red flag,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so, and everybody's going to tell you what you want to hear when they want you to cash your check.
Totally. Yeah.
So you really have to, one, be willing to put in the work, put in the grind, seek the truth, find people who don't have another agenda, that will be brutally honest with you. Like, I mean, I had plenty of people that told me, hey, you're undersized, you're too small. Okay, well, that motivated me and I had to hit harder.
Yeah.
But that truth definitely helped. And looking back, it was the truth, but that helped me just continue to find other ways to get opportunities to keep playing and competing. And competing's the big thing too now, because when I played, you had to be good enough to make the team, and there was only one team. So now there's so many teams, clubs,
Oh yeah.
facilities, labs. I mean, you can find something if you're willing to pay pretty much anywhere.
Yeah.
But it's so different. And finding guys that just are competitors, they want to be successful. The successful word's tough because, you know,
Well. Yeah.
what makes you successful? Well, for me, if you're a competitor, you're going to find a way to be successful, whether you're an athlete or not. That's one of your dreams and goals. Is I'm going to.
I had I had Dusty Hart on, who's at Blinn Community College. I don't know if you know Dusty at all, but he's down in Texas, and he had the exact same words. He's like, there's play hard, and then there's compete. Big difference. You know, of okay, that was successful. You had an 8 pitch at bat. You know, you fouled off 4 or 5 of those pitches. You know, you're able to get to first. You're able to get to second with the ball in the dirt. You know, that's the compete side as opposed to the play hard side. Anybody can play hard.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Yeah. But it's, you got to have a little bit of luck. You got to stay healthy, but you have to find people who are just genuine and are willing to make a call on your behalf.
Mm-hmm.
Every player that I recruited at the college level, in particular, because when I was with the Cubs in player development, our scouting department did all the work, front office drafted the players, and then now it was our turn to take the torch to help develop players to move them up the ladder. But when you're recruiting guys, and even for me right now, um, it's so important to, you got to have the skill set for sure, right? So you got to be evaluated properly. You got to know your strengths and weaknesses and what your profile is, because in baseball every position has a profile and the tools are kind of graded out, right? So if you're in center fielder, you better be able to run,
Yeah.
right? If you're a catcher, you better be a leader, and you better be able to work with a number of different personalities. You better be able to do everything you can for the team. The team first, you second. First basemen need to be able to be exceptional with their glove, and you got to be able to hit, right?
Mm-hmm.
Shortstops, you got to be athletic. You got to be able to do a little bit of everything. So a lot of kids growing up never really are told what their profile is based on their skills. And so a lot of them are playing out of position, or they're trying to be someone who's got to hit home runs and launch angle and lift the ball, when no, you need to have barrel control and you need to be able to hit to all fields, right? So if you have the desire and you're willing to seek the truth, and you can find people that can give you an honest assessment and evaluation of your skill level and what you need to do to reach your full potential, now the character piece comes into play. And who can you find that would be willing to put his name on the line to make a call on your behalf. To me, that is the number one deal. And everybody that I recruited at the college level and every free agent that I'm signing now, someone's calling me, putting their
Gotcha.
name on the line, saying, this guy deserves a shot. And I'm going to pay attention and I'm going to really dig deep to make sure that this young player is the right fit, regardless at any level that I'm at. Just like that, bird dog scout Norm King back in the day. No video, no cell phones.
So
I
you've
did
taken that.
something. I did
I mean,
something.
you've taken that on for a long time. I mean, it's baseball world is a small world,
It is.
especially tiny world,
Mm-hmm.
and you make one call from the right person or any, I talked to Ian Sanderson a little while ago. I'm like, hey, I got a guy here. Here's what I think. He's like, all right, I'll give him as much as I can. I don't even need. I'll sign him. I'll sign him unseen based on what you're saying.
Right. Yeah.
Right, and that's it, and that's the fun part about the cool part about the sport.
Mm-hmm. Well, and part of seeking the truth is,
Mm-hmm.
if I'm going to call on your behalf and I'm going to put my name and reputation 30 plus years on the line, no different than writing a letter of recommendation.
Yep.
I'm telling all these young kids, I don't write letter recommendations just to anybody.
Totally.
So what have you done to show me that you deserve that letter of recommendation? And are you going to follow through? Because I'm going to speak the truth and tell whoever that is what I see in you in terms of your skills, your
Yeah.
projection, and that sixth tool, right? Your heart, your competitiveness, your character, your humility. Are you a good teammate? Because, man, that's a huge one. I mean, right now, um, in my environment, our clubhouse is critical. The
Yeah.
vibe in the clubhouse, the leadership, guys holding each other accountable, which is tough to do because everybody's just staying in their lane, looking out for themselves, trying to survive. And
Mm-hmm.
if I can get all these guys to buy in to us and playing for each other every night and just being truthful to them and honest in terms of where they're at, because a lot of these kids, they feel like, hey, if I don't go 4 for 4, I'm going to get released. That's a tough way to play this game at
Totally.
any level. And
Yeah.
there's a lot of pressure put on these kids. And finding those opportunities where people know it takes time and they have patience and they're not chasing that scholarship and they're not chasing that draft status. They're just putting in the time each day and getting 1% better each day. Those are the, you know, girls or guys that are going to get more
Mm-hmm.
opportunities. It's just
Mm-hmm.
the way it is.
Do you guys, with that being said, do you guys work with any mental performance coaches or have anybody around the resources for that side that I gotta go 4 for 4, I'm done, mentality?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, obviously, within my staff, we've got guys
Mm-hmm.
that have been doing it and been in it for a long time. Travis Blackley's my pitching coach. He pitched in the big leagues and had a great career. But sometimes, especially with me being the manager, the player doesn't want to come in and unload
I know I've been
his
I've
barrel
I've
of
been there.
monkeys, right? Because he's
It's
like,
hard to be that confidant
yeah,
and a manager, right?
yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah. So,
Yeah.
so I do everything that I can to make sure that our guys have resources with people within our organization, within our front office,
Mm-hmm.
within our training staff and our docs, to have people available and make sure our players know that we have tremendous resources in our organization to get help in whatever area you need. And I mean, even my trainer, right? At this level, guys are like, yeah, I'm not going in the training room. If I
Ah,
if I go in the training room and I'm banged
red
up,
flag. Red flag.
I'm going to get released.
Uh-huh.
And so you really have to build that trust. And trust is important. I don't care where you're at or what you're doing. Um, but you've got to give guys, the opportunity and show them, hey, you're going to need a trainer. And I was the same way.
Mm-hmm.
But when I got married, my trainer, when I played in college baseball, was in my wedding because that's how important he was to keep me on the field. But he knew if I went into that training room, I needed something big time. and he was all in. So there's that fine line, and you just have to be, consistent, and the cards have to be on the table face up. And that's what I've learned through my journey. And, I couldn't have made it this far without so many people
Yeah.
helping me along the way. Um, and I want to be able to offer that to the kids that I work for. And sometimes it's just not going to work out, So I've got to
Mhm.
release you or help you find another opportunity. But you're going to at least get a fair shake here, and I stay true to that. And sometimes that might cost us some wins and losses because we're hanging on to guys maybe a little bit longer than others. But we lead the Pioneer League every year in the least amount of transactions.
Wow.
People know that, and guys want to come here because they know they're going to get a fair shake, and we
Cool.
just take it one day at a time.
One day at a time. Well, it's on that note, thank you. You've always been a resource for me. It's neat to hear, a bird dog from Kansas City helped you out. You've never shied away from a phone call from me or a text message, and I hope to carry that on for the next generation. And just keep sharing this and getting this information out because it's important. It's important for the next generation to understand, where everything's coming from and the systems that have been put in place and why everybody's doing the things the way they're doing them. So,
Yeah.
Gary, thank you very much, man. I
Oh,
appreciate you taking the time today. I know you're a busy guy and you got some ball games to go win. So,
yeah, I appreciate it, Curtis. Thanks for the opportunity, and
yeah,
let's do it again. And I know
absolutely.
there's a lot of stuff, and any opportunity that I can get, especially to help a Canadian player,
Hmm.
being Canadian, that is a priority, and I
Get
appreciate
those
all.
visas. Get those visas sorted out down there, dude.
I know, I know. Well, and that could be a whole nother topic for another day, is just trying to help navigate some of these Canadian players who are finished with their college eligibility. What do they do next to continue to
Yeah.
play, right? And so anything that I can help with you on that, I appreciate everything that you're doing on your end. And yeah, good luck with you with everything.
Well,
Uh, we'll
I'm
talk
just
to you
gonna
later.
ask. I'm just gonna ask you to just stay on for a sec after I hit record or stop, just so it can upload. Okay.
You bet.
Thanks.
Yeah.